You guys already know what the drill is. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like, all that good stuff. Comment your tips down below, as well as join the Discord. And if you're interested, the tipping comps are also linked below. But yeah, before we get into it, let's go check out my tips from round 7. Alrighty, so here we are for round 7. Honestly, not the worst. It ended up being quite a difficult round for tipping. We're in the top 47% still, so you know, we've slowly made progress. We've done better than we did last week with a 6 out of 9. Not too bad. Unfortunately, though, on the Friday night, we did start off getting a tip wrong. I cannot even remember when the last time I started around getting a tip right. Look at this. Wrong. I think I've only gotten the first game of the round correct once this whole season. You can't really count the draw, can you? Yeah, so as I was saying, I've got a terrible streak with getting the first game incorrect for the round. So if that's anything to go off, don't copy what I do for this game here. But yeah, on the Friday night, we've got the Carlton Blues taking on the Lions. This is an extremely hard game to tip, and it's probably going to be the game that splits most of the people from having, you know, a 10 out of 10 round or a 9 out of 9 round, or something, you know, equivalent, basically getting a good score, because this is going to split most people, you would think. Now, if we look at the form guide going into this, it is Carlton have won, or lost the last 3 against the Lions. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the Carlton Reserves game, and the Blues have not currently won ever in this Carlton Reserves fixture. Out of all the times it's happened, I don't know how many times it's happened, but I heard a Blues fan say that. So, with that being in mind, and just the general form of the Brisbane Lions, this is one of those games where you can see anything happening. I could easily see the Blues winning this, and Charlie Curnow kicking, you know, 5+ goals. Harry Mackay kicking like 2, and the Blues win this. And on the same side, I can also see the Brisbane Lions winning this. Say, you know, Charlie Cameron kicks 5 or 6 goals against Carlton's defense, which I feel like can leak goals from time to time. And I feel like the Charlie Cameron type player is definitely going to trouble them. But to be honest, the Brisbane Lions have been pretty damn good this season. You know, they had a bit of a stumble the first few rounds, losing to the Dogs, a marvel, but aside from that, I think they've been pretty good there. So I am going to go with the Lions. This is probably as close as you get to a 50-50 match. I'd assume maybe a few extra people have tipped the Lions over the Blues, but I'll go the Lions. It's going to be close, and I'm going to say 20 points. Please, can this be right? I'd love to get off to a good start, you know, this week with my tipping. But yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a close one, and it seriously won't surprise me if the Blues win. I'll go with the Lions. Just on form, I think they've been a little bit better. Alrighty, next up, we have probably the 2 worst teams in the comp at the moment, that being Richmond and West Coast. But seriously, you'd really think that the Tigers can get it done here. I'm not going to ramble on too much. If it wasn't for Richmond coming up against quite literally one of the most undermanned teams in AFL history, well, this could potentially be another game that Richmond lose. But I think they've been let off the hook here, and I'm going to say they do get it done. And the West Coast Eagles, well, yeah, again, they've not had a very good run against Richmond, you know, losing 4 out of the past 5. But yeah, seriously, at the MCG, West Coast, obviously, half a waffle team. I think they've got like 25 fit players on their entire list. So if you're at West Coast right now, you're basically guaranteed to play an AFL game if you're on the AFL list. So yeah, just remarkable scenes there. But yeah, Richmond surely will get it done on the Saturday here. Alrighty, next up here we have Geelong at GMHBA Stadium. Now, obviously, this is an absolute fortress for them. They've also won their last 4 games. Now, look, I do give Adelaide a small chance here, but realistically, you'd be an idiot to tip against Geelong, especially at GMHBA Stadium. So I'm not taking the chance with my tips here. I'd probably give Adelaide about a 1% chance of winning here. In fact, I'm actually surprised they're not bigger underdogs here. They're only at $5, which actually genuinely surprises me, because I'd consider West Coast a better chance to beat Richmond than Adelaide are to beat Geelong at GMHBA Stadium. But anyway, nonetheless, I will be going the Cats here. Yeah, probably, you know, I think Adelaide will put up a fight here. Might be close for a few quarters, but I think, yeah, in the end, we'll see Geelong 20 or 30 point win at the very least. Alrighty, moving to the mid-afternoon game here. We've got the Suns at their home game taking on the D's, obviously at the now renamed Metricon Stadium. This is another one that I feel like is going to be fairly close. I think Gold Coast are going to put up a good fight at Metricon. Now, I know the form guide here looks terrible for them. Gold Coast, they have, you know, lost their last 5 against the D's. But honestly, if you look at the results, there's been 2 smashings, all right? So, let's keep that in mind. But there was a 1-point loss there. There was a 17-point loss or something there. They lost by 2 goals last year. So I don't think the Suns have been terrible against Melbourne. And at Heritage Bank Stadium, they're actually not too bad. But I'm not ballsy enough, and I won't be tipping the Suns. But I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being one of the upsets. Are Melbourne truly back to some rock solid form? This game will tell us that story, in my opinion, because realistically, they shouldn't falter here and they should get the win. But, Gold Coast, I feel like they're going to be a little bit plucky here, and they've had a good few weeks. So, yeah, I'll still go Melbourne, though, and I think they'll get it done by, probably, less than 20 points. Alrighty, next up here, we have the GWS Giants taking on Bulldogs, and this is the home game at Manuka Oval in Canberra for the Giants. Now, I've already thought about this game, and I think this is actually one that a lot of people are going to get tricked into, thinking, maybe the Giants can pull off an upset here. Now, don't get me wrong, they had a very, very good win last week, but I just have some feeling that they've squeezed a lot out of this list in the last few weeks. The Giants, they played very good. I said in my last week's tipping, I thought they deserved a win here, and I surprisingly tipped this game correct. I think I forgot to go through the rest of my tips now that I think about it, but I actually tipped this game correct. I just had a feeling, but I think it's all going to end there, and I am going to go the Dogs here, and I think they've got a terrible streak at Manuka Oval, the Giants, only winning, say, I think a few out of their last, or not even, I think they've played out of their last 10 games, they've probably lost 9 or so, so not a great streak. And the Bulldogs obviously going in 4 out of the last 5. So, yeah, I will be tipping the Doggies here against the Giants. All right, next up here, a pretty easy one to tip. Or maybe not, to be honest, because both of these sides, again, they're probably the second best or worst 2 sides in the comp, that being Freo and Hawthorn, obviously, here. Freo having quite a good streak, in front of Hawthorn or over Hawthorn the last 5 games. I'm purely just going to go Freo again because of that home advantage, home stadium advantage. I said this when they played the Dogs a few weeks ago, and it didn't come through. But I seriously give, the Hawthorn, if I was to weigh it up in my mind, what percentage would I give them? I'd probably say Hawks are a good 20 or 30% chance to win this game. They're not, super underdogs here. And if Freo just rock up and are garbage, Hawthorn will win this, because Hawthorn are a side that, whilst they are at the bottom of the ladder, they will not give up and they will not bow down to an easy beat. So, yeah, look, I'll go Freo, but seriously, not a round that would surprise me if Hawthorn do get up. All right, another one here that I am feeling like I want to tip Essendon, but I really just don't know. Last week, I thought they'd come out with some aggression, against the Cats. They've had a down few weeks, but I still didn't think they were that bad against the Pies on Anzac Day, and I thought maybe they'd come out. But, the Geelong did what Geelong had done, and they'd proven that they're definitely out of their slump. But I'm still not too sure about Essendon. I don't think they're done with this year. I think they're still going to end up being a better side than we've seen compared to the last few years of Essendon. The form guide just looks absolutely terrible, and they've been smashed, 4 out of the last 5 times they played. The only close one really being the round 22 match up here. So for that reason, I'm going to have to go Port in front of the home stadium. I feel like I'm being really safe this week with tips, and I hate doing that because I always like to go, have 1 or 2 upsets. But this week, I don't know, I'm just not really feeling like an upset will happen, or one that I can predict at least, because obviously an upset will happen. But yeah, I'll go Port Adelaide here, and I'll say it's fairly close. Alrighty, next up here for the Sunday game, and arguably probably the biggest game of the round. It's probably going to bring the biggest crowd, I'd say so, being at the MCG with the Swans. First time the Pies have played Sydney at the MCG for the, I think it's been 2013 was the stat, I believe. Now, you see here, it actually does say 2020 was our home game, and that was played at the SCG due to COVID purposes. So, yeah, we actually haven't played the Swans at home since 2013. And, yeah, well, the Swans have had a pretty good run over us. The 1-point victory, they bet us twice, actually, last year. That round 22 game, they got it done very easily, and then the round the 1-point win, in that preliminary final. But things have changed. Collingwood have gotten better. Sydney, they've had a bit of a slodge. They're not really playing great at the moment. They've had a few down weeks. But being at its, and I do expect this to be a close game. I expect Sydney to have a very good response, and I think, you know, they're going to come out firing. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a game that goes back and forth, you know, neck to neck for majority of the game here. But I just think at home, the Pies should get it done. And yeah, I can't really not back my Pies here. As I've said previously, I'm pretty much going to be backing them every game this whole year. But the Swans, I don't think they're going to be an easy beat by any means. And I think it will be fairly close in the end. I'll say we'll get it done by 2 straight goals. All right, and that brings us to the last game of the round. Quite honestly, probably the most underwhelming game of the rounds here, and I'm not even going to hesitate. Not going to waste you guys' time. We are going to be going St Kilda here. I don't know what the form guide is, but no, that's actually quite surprising. So North have won 3 of the last 5. But yeah, I'll be going St Kilda here. They've been a very good side this year. Very, very solid. They've got to bounce back over that after that Port Adelaide loss last week. And yeah, guys, that will just about do me for the tips. So we got the Lions, the Richmond Tigers, Geelong, the D's, the Dogs, Freo, Port Adelaide, the Pies, and St Kilda. So yeah, and I think if I was going to choose a sauce here from Subway, I'd probably go Chipotle Southwest. There we go. Alrighty, guys, that wraps up this week of tipping. Of course, make sure you guys leave your tips down below. I'm very curious to see what you guys are doing, and also all the links down below. Smash a like if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that, and subscribe. Thank you guys, 300 subscribers as well. That's absolutely amazing. And yeah, stay tuned for the match day vlog coming later in the week. And yeah, guys, that's it for the video. Have a good one, and bye-bye.